It's my birthday. So me and my boyfriend went to a luxurious Chinese restaurant where he got us reservation at 7 o'clock and we arrived right on time. The waitress took us to our reserved table. It was so romantic with candles and flowers. I smiled at him, appreciating his effects. Order whatever you want. Don't worry about the bill, he said, smiling while looking at her. Looking at his expression, I can tell he is planning a big surprise for me. Maybe he is going to propose me, as we are dating for 5 years now, she thought to herself. I won't think a second before saying yes to him. I might even cry, not caring about the busy crowded restaurant we are in right now, because I love him that much. The waitress came back to take her order. I will have that meal and a Coke. She ordered a pricey meal for herself. I will have a Coke, and that's all. As the waitress left after taking their order, Ewan looked at him, confused, as he loved eating. Don't worry, I'm fine. It's just I'm so nervous to eat, he said softly, looking in her eyes. What are you nervous about? I'm going to ask you something, and I'm nervous about your answer, he said in nervousness, making your heart beat faster. Yes, he's really going to propose me. Just ask, she said, hiding her nervousness and excitement. Okay, do you see that man over the table corner? He said, pointing at a table in a dark corner where a man wearing a hoodie sat. Who is that man? Why is he introducing him to me? This is not what I am expecting, she thought herself, confused. His name is. He's rich and seems to like you, he said, smiling with some mysterious hope in his eyes. What? She shouted, confused and in anger. He held her hand softly as he spoke. I lost all my money in trading, including our savings, he said, looking down. What? She is frustrated as he already has lost money to fraudulent before, and again he did the same. What that has to do with this guy? He took a deep breath and spoke again. You know my friend James? I told him all about this, and he suggested me a website where we can put things up for auction, and strangers could place bids for the things we put there. And the only valuable thing I have is you. So I put your picture in the website, and he likes you and want to get to know you, he said it shamelessly. Did you just sold me to that creep? She said in shock and anger. She doesn't know how to react to this as she looked at him, praying this to be a sick dream. But reality slapping in her face as he spoke, breaking her heart into pieces. Just for she threw the water on him. How can you say this? Don't you have any? Will you do anything for money? I feel on myself for loving you, she shouted at him angrily as she controlled her tears, not wanting to be vulnerable in front of him. It's over between us. Let's break up. Don't ever show your face to me, she shouted at him angrily as she stood up and turned to walk away, but he held her hands, making her stop. She looked at him. Just do whatever he says you to do, and we get 1 billion to our account on the morning. It's a great good deal, he said, making it seem like nothing and she is overreacting. She said through her teeth, glaring at him with her teary eyes. Calm down, you're overreacting as usual. If you leave now, you will regret it. No one will love you like I do, he said, trying to manipulate you. His face turned to left as a hard slap landed on his right cheek. He left a hand in pain, and she left without speaking a word to him. As she walked away in tears in eyes, she saw him showing thumbs up to the guy. As soon as she reached home, she called her brother to pick her up from her apartment, as she doesn't feel safe to be alone anymore because of her own lover whom she trusted with her everything, who is now just an ex. She packed all her essentials and waited for her brother to arrive as soon as possible. And soon her phone rang with a notification from her brother that he is waiting in the parking area. She dashed out, closing her apartment door. She saw his car parked where he always do, but the car door is open and window is broken. Terrified by the horror scene before her, she dropped everything she was holding in her hands and went near the car. As she went towards the car, she saw blood splattered all over the broken glass pieces of the car window and saw bloodstained traces that someone has been dragged from there. Knowing well it's going to put herself in danger, she followed the bloodstain with shaky footsteps as she wasn't thinking straight. She is both terrified and angry, thinking what might have happened to her brother. As she followed the bloodstain, she saw her brother tied as his body is lying in the ground lifelessly. As his head is bleeding, her whole world crushing before her. She shouted her soul out and ran towards him, crying like crazy. Wake up, please, please. Tapping his cheek, trying to wake him up, but no use. Crying, she searched for her phone inside her pocket, not realizing she dropped it with her other things before. Run, he whispered weakly. She heard him, confused, but soon noticed the shadow that's been towering over her crying figure all this time. Researching for this, his husky deep voice sent chills through her spine. He held out the phone before her with his bloody hands. She screamed in horror. She looked up to see it's the same creepy guy from the restaurant whom her ex said he sold her to. Help! Terrified, she screamed even more louder, crawling backwards away from him, but he bended down to her level as he was dangerously close to her. He held her arms to prevent her from moving. Calm down, sweetheart. He spoke calmly, making her breathe. Please, leave me and my brother. She spoke scared of him. Don't worry, little girl. Your brother is perfectly fine. I just made him lose his consciousness for a hour, 'cause he's coming between our deal. He said those evil words. Our deal? She questioned him with teary eyes, but those words left her mouth as a sweetheart, our deal. The deal that I can do whatever with you for this, as long as I return you alive to your boyfriend tomorrow morning, he said. I never made any disgusting deal like that. I'm not responsible for that words or you have no rights over me. Triggered by her words. Watch your words, sweetheart. A deal is a deal. It doesn't matter to me if you made the deal or your boyfriend. You crazy creep, leave me. Instead of protesting, aren't you excited about what I might do to you? He said, smiling. She again tried to push him, but this time he held her hands. How about this? I will. Your pretty fingers, one by one. Isn't it exciting? Don't worry. I won't go against our deal, so let's not waste time, he said, looking at her. She knows she is the only one who can save her from him. Her thoughts running wild, thinking for a way to escape, but the word deal kept echoing in her head, and finally got an idea to escape. This is her last chance to escape. Will it work? Will she escape? Let's go. He was about to get up, but she held his hands, stopping him. He looked down at her. She shouted those words as it echoed. New deal. Take him instead. It doesn't matter if you return him or not for just half the amount. What do you think? Better deal, right? He reached out his hands to her. She got terrified for a second, thinking he was going to attack her, but he gave her a handshake. Deal. Saying this, he walked away from her. It's been 3 months from that incident, and my brother is fine, but that's the last day I saw him. He's been missing ever since that day.